Do you struggle with hormone balance? There's something really important you need to know, and that is a communication network in your body that regulates your hormones. It's called the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, or HPA axis for short. Now don't let me lose you. I'm going to define what those words mean if you're not familiar with it. So your hypothalamus is at the base of your brain. Your hypothalamus is what sends the message, the initial message. Once your brain kind of listens to what's going on with the hormones in your body and then wants to determine what kind of changes or shifts need to happen to bring you into balance, it's the hypothalamus's job to communicate that initially. So the hypothalamus is thrown off by a couple of different things. One is if you're not allowing yourself to be in rhythm with nature, that can mess with the hypothalamus. And what do I mean by in rhythm with nature? First of all, the circadian rhythm. That's your day and night rhythm. So if you are not going to bed at a decent hour, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you wake up in the morning and you do not see the sun until you get in your car to go to the office, and you may not even see it then, all that messes with your circadian rhythm. You should step outside in the morning and just for even 2 or 3 minutes, allow the sunshine to hit you. The angle in which it hits your eyes communicates. And then at night, I've talked about this a lot, put on the blue block glasses if you're going to look at screens. So that's the one thing that can affect the hypothalamus. But there's something else that can affect the hypothalamus that I see much more often than a circadian rhythm problem. And that is something that irritates your nerves. So your hypothalamus, your body has so many amazing features, right? The hypothalamus partially is there to protect your brain. When you think about it, how important is your brain to the function of your body? It's the conductor, right, that tells everything what to do. And so your hypothalamus is just like a circuit breaker in your house. If there's too much input flowing up to your brain, flip. Hypothalamus just flips that little circuit breaker, and all that noise you're being protected from. The problem is that once you flip like that, you cannot be efficient at sending the messages to the rest of your body from your brain. So it's a protection mechanism that can kind of backfire by making things not function as well. So what makes the hypothalamus flip like a circuit breaker? Anything that irritates your nerves. So too much exposure to electronics or Wi-Fi can do it. Mold exposure can do it big time. Mold is a nerve toxin. It's when I say neurological toxin, it actually affects the brain and the nerves. Pesticide exposure can cause this to flip. You know, as I'm filming this, we're in springtime and all the neighborhood, lawns are being sprayed by the chemical companies. You go walk at the park and they are fogging for mosquitoes. It's very hard not to get exposed to pesticides, but no, that can affect your hypothalamus. So the list goes on. It's not just stress. You have to pay attention to environmental triggers. So the hypothalamus is the first in that communication network for your hormones. Your hypothalamus then tells your pituitary, hey, this is what we need. Speed up the thyroid, slow down the stress hormones, get the blood sugar balance, whatever is going to happen. It's time to have a period. We need to increase the follicle stimulating hormone to ovulate. There's just different things that the pituitary sends the message for your body to comply with. And that initially comes from the hypothalamus. So hypothalamus, pituitary, and then the last step in that communication network is the adrenals themselves. And the adrenal glands are your stress hormone producing glands. They are your anti-inflammatory hormone producing glands. and they need to be balanced. If you've heard me talk about hormones before, I always compare it to an old school cheerleader pyramid. The adrenals would be like the people on the bottom on their hands and knees. And then your sex hormones, there are the people kneeling on top of them. And then you've got blood sugar hormones, thyroid hormones. So you've got this pyramid. And if those people on the bottom, if somebody loses their footing, that whole pyramid starts to shake and you cannot keep your hormones balanced. So the hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis, super, super important to maintaining hormone balance. What do you do if yours is off? Let me give you some tips. Fundamental is getting enough sleep. It's what recharges the batteries in your adrenal glands. It's what allows your brain to detoxify, over the night. And it's super, super important to this balance. And then one of the aspects of getting a good night's sleep that's also important is to get the electronics out of your bedroom. Because even if you're putting the hours in the sack, if your nervous system isn't fully relaxing, if there's something, if your cell phone's there recharging, or you've got Alexa in your room, your nerves are always getting a bit of a jazzed up signal from the electronics, and you won't fully relax. Another thing you can do to help this balance is take a look at a couple of the adaptogenic herbs. Ashwagandha is a really nice one, and nowadays there's just so many lovely powdered drinks you can get. You can put it in your coffee, you can use it at night, as a little, non-caffeinated tea that you take at bedtime. Many, many different ways to get ashwagandha into your life. Resveratrol is another really lovely adaptogen, and holy basil. So those are some things to look at to start bringing some balance to that HPA axis.